Hands of Grace Homestead, please like and subscribe.
So I have some strawberry Verde cuttings. I plan on turning these cuttings into brand new trees. This is the fig plant, the fig tree that I actually got these cuttings from. As you can see, we have some figs already on this tree. I cut the leaves off the tips. Hopefully that forces them to ripen a little sooner. Yeah, but this is the tree, where we have our strawberry Verde here. Trying to keep it consistently watered since it's in a pot. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to turn these strawberry Verde cuttings into new trees. So let's begin that journey with me. So these already been cut, sanitized, and paraffin wrapped at the top and the bottom to make sure it doesn't lose any moisture or it doesn't dry out. So let's go on this journey. All right, so here we got our soil for our fig pops. Okay, so we want to make sure that the soil is moist. This soil, I wetted a couple days ago, but it could use a little more water. Just want to make sure it's moist because the moistness that we have here is what's going to need to be able to suffice the whole time the fig is living in the fig pop bag. So we want to make sure that it's moist and that it's mixed well, right? And this is what you kind of want to see is when you squeeze it, that it holds together, right? And then we even have a little bit of water running out of that, right? So we want to make sure it's moist. And then at this point, we're also going to start stuffing the bags with the soil. All right, so here's one of the bags here. All right, so what we will do is grab our bag, open it up a little bit, and these are 4x16 2 mil plastic bags. I got these bags off Amazon. I think 100 bags came in a pack. It wasn't too expensive at all. So we're just kind of filling it up, and I try not to waste any of this pro mixed dirt because it's extremely expensive. So fill it up. Remember, when you're doing the fig pop, which we're going to go through, we're going to want to put about 2 nodes in the dirt. 2 nodes with 1 node above the dirt, so there needs to be more than enough room in this fig pop to cover the 2 nodes. Alright, so this would be 1 bag here, right, full of soil. Okay, then I'll grab the next bag. And we're doing the same thing. Just filling it up with soil. Filling it up. Shaking it up. Okay, get in there. Alright. And just filling it up. And then once we get ready to do our fig pops, we'll jump over to that clip there of the actual fig pops and the preparation for the figs. So the figs I have, they're already clean, and they also already have paraffin on the ends. The paraffin on the ends is to make sure the moistness and the fig does not dry out, right? Because you can't, or it'll be extremely hard to try to root a fig that is already dried out. So just bear with me here, and then we're gonna jump into fig pop preparation. All right, hello everybody, we're back. So now we're gonna start the fig pop preparation. Just to show you what I got here. So with the figs, we tend to have a bottle of Clonex, which is rooting hormone, helps it root a little better. Me personally, I don't only like to use the Clonex, I also tend to use Dip and Grow in tandem with the Clonex just to make sure that we have more than enough rooting hormone. Some people might think it's overkill, but that's just how I tend to do it. I also have a knife so that I can scrape some of the bark off of the fig tree cutting. Then I have my, just like in the previous video, I have my 4x16 4 mil bags here filled with Pro Mix. Okay. Then I also have my brush that I use to brush the Clonex onto the cutting, and a bag of rubber bands to tie the fig pop. Okay, so first step, we're going to take our cutting and I'm going to remove the parafilm that I put on the bottom of this cutting. Just gonna remove it here. You can just pull that off. It's just wrapped around. All right, and I already sanitized and cleaned these. If you want, you could actually cut this layer off here and get a fresh cut here. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. So give me a second here. Let me grab my shears. Okay, so I have my shears here. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna get a fresh cut at the bottom here. All right, with that fresh cut, you can see that it's green on the inside, so we're still good here. These cuttings were taken from a non-dormant strawberry verde. So all these cuttings are strawberry verdes. They're a little thinner than I would like, but they should root without any issue. So now that we have that fresh cut, we want at least 2 nodes in the soil. So I'm gonna take my knife. Some people take off pretty big chunks of bark off. Me, I just tend to scrape it like this. As long as I can see green here, the tree is gonna try to heal itself anyway from the bark being removed. And these sections here is where you'll see the root growth. Right from these nodes here, these little white dots should start producing the roots. All right, so we have that scraped off. And right after scraping that off, I go ahead, grab my Clonex, I dip my brush into the Clonex, and we're just brushing it on there. Just brushing it on there. Getting the bottom part too. Alright. Just brushing it on there. Alright. Before I stick it in dirt, I tend to let it dry a little, so I'll just place it right there, and then I would move on and do another one. Alright, so we have another one here. Same thing. We're removing the plastic parafilm, giving it a fresh cut. Alright, fresh cut. We got that nice green right there. Okay. Grabbing our knife. Okay, and we're gonna do at least 2 nodes. So from here to here into the Pro Mix for our fig pop. Right. The thing about the figs, they smell, you can still get the smell just off of the cutting of the fig. It's a very pleasant smell. You ask me, these would also make really good house plants if you kept them cut back and only at a certain height, because the aroma of the figs would pretty much fill the house. So this is what it looks like after it's been scraped. Okay, now we're gonna go back with that brush and we're just gonna paint this fig cutting. I'm gonna paint it with the Clonex. Alright. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit there right there. Now I get the dip and grow. Alright, my dip and grow has already been diluted from our previous use, and I have my dip and grow container here. We're just gonna pour everything in here. Alright, so that's our dip and grow. And I take the cutting and I dip it in the dip and grow, just making sure I'm getting all of that touching the dip and grow. Alright, I prepare my bag. Okay, prepare my bag. Okay, got the soil wet, and I take my cutting and I just insert it into the dirt. Okay, insert it into the dirt. So now it looks like that. All right. And then from here, I'm gonna grab a rubber band. I'm gonna grab a rubber band. I'll just place it over the bag. Okay, you want to make sure get a nice tight grip on that fig. So I'm gonna go twice and then bring it down here. All right, so nice tight. So now this part, we want to get rid of all this excess bag, right? Because what's gonna happen is this excess bag is going to create a humidity chamber, and with that humidity chamber, this top part of the fig, not in the soil, is going to want to produce roots. All right, and we don't want that, right? Because then we're going to have roots busting out the sides here, and that is not going to be advantageous for our figs in the long run, right? So what we're going to do, we can fold this back like so. Okay. We can fold it back and have it sitting like this. All right, so now this portion of the fig is not surrounded by plastic and not being placed in a humidity chamber. Okay, now so that the moisture also stays in the bag, I don't tend to poke holes in the bag. I just tend to just leave it just like this. All right, and then you'll get root formation. All right, so we're gonna leave this here. All right, so this is our first fig pop. All right. Strawberry Verde. And then I like to label my bags. So I'll grab my marker and just write what it is on there. And let that dry. Okay? And sit it right there. Alright. And we're gonna do it one more time. Alright, so we have our fig cutting. It's already been Clonexed, and now we're putting it in the dip and grow. Putting in the dip and grow here. Let that sit there. Get my bag ready. Okay. And I'm putting this cutting 2 nodes deep into the soil. Okay, so now we're 2 nodes deep into the soil. Okay. From here, I'm grabbing my rubber band. Okay, grabbing my rubber band, going over the bag with the fig in it. Okay. Press pressing that down a little. All right, and then we're gonna wrap it around. Make sure it's tight. Wrap it around again. Make sure it's tight, and then lock it in. Okay, and then we're gonna wrap this. Bring this down, just like if you were rolling up your cuffs on your long sleeve button-up shirt. That's exactly what we're doing to this bag here. All right, we're trying to get a nice cuff here. All right, and once again, the reason why we're doing this is so that we don't get roots busting out the side of this top part. We only want roots to come out of the bottom. Okay, gives you a nice clean look and a nice clean cutting. All right, and that's what we have here. All right, so I hope you guys learned something, and yeah, we'll wait a couple weeks. Usually it's about 21 days before we really start seeing some massive roots growing out of this thing. All right, and I still have the parafilm at the top, right, keeping the moisture in the fig. As you can see, you got a green tip here, right, so this fig is still alive and ready to root. All right, thanks for joining me, and we're gonna see what's next on the next Avenger. In a couple weeks, we should be able to see our roots, and we should also should start seeing some growth on these fig cuttings. Thank you.